that's a tremendous looking trophy.
Hello, welcome to the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here on a day with not some great news.
Yeah. We'll get to the layoffs. We'll get to the layoffs news in a moment. And of course, the rest of the episode, let's just continue talking about Spider-Man. So have you finished it yet?
Yes, I finished the story.
Yeah. It's done. You throw it out, you're done. That's it.
Still got to get that plat, because everybody's talking about getting that Spider-Man 2 plat, so yeah.
Well, I mean, Kieran was saying he, got it basically 99% of the trophies by just playing the game.
I think I must have powered through some of the story at some point.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of Mysterio things to do.
Okay.
That and, just some of the last tower things need to finish off.
So what are your overall thoughts on the story then, now that you've wrapped it up?
Yeah, really good. I don't know if it hit me as hard as the first game. But it's bigger, it's better. It's like it's definitely very respectful to Venom, although I think fans of probably the more current runs of like focused on Eddie Brock and that kind of stuff may not that it's not going to work for them, but like as a retelling of the original like Venom story, I think is very well done. Really well put together. I really enjoy Miles' arc over the game, with him dealing with some of his issues. It definitely leaves a bunch of ends to potentially be followed up in a third game, which they're going to make eventually.
Well, yeah, they're going to make a sequel to the fastest selling PlayStation original studios game.
I'd say so. Yes,
that's a pretty wild idea. I don't know why you would do that.
It is craziness, but I really dug the story, and I'm excited for you to potentially ever finish it, so we can talk about it.
I've played some more.
Yeah,
I've got. Where am I up to? I feel like I'll consistently be so far behind that I can go full spoilers because I've done. I had like the ship sequence where all these people broke out. Like Craven finally showed up, and then I did. And then I haven't done another major story sequence. I think after that, I've just been doing Miles helps college people problems.
Yeah, help with Homecoming.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Help with Homecoming. I think I got one left of those to do. So, and then
that's fair enough.
I think the game's asked me to switch over to Peter, and has been for a while, to the point it keeps popping up and says it keeps being like swipe right on the thing to switch, and I'm like, nah, I'm doing stuff. Like, I got like 50% of like the Prowler stuff done already. I've just been swinging around doing them.
Has Harry showed up?
Yeah, Harry showed up.
Okay,
Yeah.
So you had
I did that whole sequence. I did the flashback, whatever else. Yeah, the singing on the rain bike sequence, which I don't. So that sequence, I don't know if it was meant to remind me, like, so Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, where they're like, just like, there's a sequence in that movie where they just like hop on the bike and and lots of movies have parodied it, where there's like range of they're like riding around on a bike, and I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be thinking about this while this sequence is happening, but that's where my mind went. So dun, 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 dun. I've been using the wingsuit more than I'd like now that I'm fucking like, it's just because I'm just like Prowler thing there, and then you just go so much faster. It's like when you hit the wind tunnels, I'm like, it's not as fun as swinging around, because you can like, you press L3 or whatever button it is, so you can do your backflips, and like it feels cooler. But I'm like, I just want to get from here to there, like.
And just wait till you unlock fast travel. And then
I think I've unlocked fast travel in a couple areas, but nowhere where I actually.
I will say, I finally did start using fast travel after I finished the game. It's fast.
It's the fastest of the travels.
Pretty much seamless. It is crazy. where the cursor just slightly moves to the side, and then you kind of dive into where you put yourself. Yeah.
So now that you finished it, do you reckon? So obviously 3 is inevitable, but do you reckon do you reckon they're coming back to saying last week about DLC and stuff? Do you reckon any sort of DLC expansion spin off, or we just go straight to 3? Working on 3.
My gut says they're going to go straight to 3 just because they've got so many irons in the fire over at Insomniac. I doubt they've been been working on DLC. I think more likely is a game like Miles. Potentially.
Yeah, like a smaller, more focused one.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah. And yeah, like listening to a couple, like I listened to the Kind of Funny spoiler cast with Ryan and Taylor. So you're talking like we only did the amount of side missions that we had enough quality stuff to do. So I don't think they would put out DLC if it wasn't up to quality, and then I don't think they would have had DLC if it wasn't part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, people kept saying the game's only like, 20 hours and like it's not overfilled or overstuffed or anything like that. So, funny hot take. Michael put his thoughts in our Discord, which you can join to explosion.com.
He hated the game, right?
Well, in your words, he hated it because he gave it a 7. He said he would give it a 7 out of 10.
Nah, that's too low.
Not as emotionally draining as The Last of Us Part 2. Glad I didn't get spoiled by anything. Don't know if I want to return to its open world after the end of the main story or do New Game Plus when it comes out in December. I may want to come back if there's DLC, but only appeals to me. What's he trying to say there, Ash, without spoilers? Is he trying to say that there's like something happens at the end that makes him not want to play it anymore?
I don't know. I don't know why he thought it would be as emotionally draining as Last of Us Part 2.
Because it's the second one.
Yeah, but The Last of Us. The Last of Us is like super depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like other things he mentioned, like I only focus on 2 gadgets that I felt were the most useful and upgrading skills like focus and damage. I think I think that's fair. Like some of the gadgets, like you could definitely rely on these 2, but as you get further along, you just kind of want to use all of them, or you want to just use as many abilities you have at your availability to get through stuff and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I can understand why someone may not enjoy it as much. I've seen a couple of different other people mention like the story kind of goes all over the place, and it's like a bunch like maybe they're just over open world games and that kind of stuff. But as a Spider-Man fan, as someone who's enjoyed the first game thoroughly, I'm looking at a 9.5 probably.
Yeah. I mean, I it's definitely like even with the relatively small amount I've played so far, it is like that weird thing like when you have 2 characters that the story just may become unfocused for you because like I'm playing as Miles right now and the game, as I'm saying, the game's telling me to keep switch over to Peter, but I'm like, yeah, but like I'm enjoying this, and I don't have a choice. To continue the game, I must swap over to Peter to continue his story. You know what I mean? So
yeah, just like fans of Last of Us Part 2, to finish this game, I need to keep playing as this other character.
I guess
that I don't want to play as.
True.
To another degree.
But it's like that thing of like, because they give you because they've gone, hey, we're going to give you both Spider-Man in this game. You can play as both. And it's not like I don't like Peter or like whatever, but it's that thing of like, because you're giving me good Miles content at the moment, and then the game saying switch over to Peter, and I'm just thinking, but can I just have a little bit more Miles right now? Like I'm sort of enjoying Miles right now, So
well, you just play the Peter, and then you can decide.
Yeah, I know, but it's that like when you don't have an option, you just like.
Well, I mean, you literally have an option. You just can keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I can't. Eventually, I'll run out. Eventually, I'll run out of things to do, I guess. And
well, then you'll feel maybe by that point you'll be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm ready for some Peter.
Yeah, right. I was just like, I don't like Miles is over here. It's just like, he's got some love life. He's trying to think about his future, his college and stuff. And then Peter's stuff's just more depressing. He's like, man, I got house bills to pay. My long-term girlfriend won't move in with
relatable.
me.
I want some fantasy. I want some fantasy. Some,
Yeah.
Want to take myself out of my current situation.
I need to get this out. You walk into his house. First thing I pick up is a bill. They're like, you owe $4,000 to the bank. It's got a fucking interest rate of 6.8% written down or something. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, get out of here with this shit.
Too real.
Too real. That's right. I continue on the Insomniac train for a minute. Press start. Right. Insomniac has confirmed that Marvel's Wolverine is part of the Marvel Spider-Man universe. And a huge old spoiler cast with Kind of Funny crew. Marvel Spider-Man 2 creative director Brian Itar, is that how you say it?
Yep.
Itar? Yeah. Has confirmed that Insomniac's other upcoming superhero title, Marvel's Wolverine, will be set in the same universe as the Spider-Man games. Itar simply told Tim Geddes, Blessing Adio Jr. and Greg Miller when asked about whether the Wolverine and Spider-Man games share a common setting that, quote, they're all 1048. End quote, which is in reference to Earth 1048, the version of Spider-Man universe that Insomniac take Peter and Miles and coexist in, etc., etc., etc. Do you think that's going to work, or do you think there's any reason not to set them in the separate universes? Do you think there's a reason to actually set them in the same universe, other than just building a Insomniac Marvel universe? Will we get a stage where there's just all these 1048 games and crossovers? And
I mean, hopefully, if Insomniac's fantastic and Sony can work it so they can get a bunch of focused Marvel games, I think it's fine. Do I think Wolverine is going to be in New York and interact with Spider-Man? No.
Yeah.
He's gonna. I don't even know if
Wolverine's going to be in Wolverine's going to be in the South somewhere, surely,
or the North. Yeah. Canada.
Yeah, I'm thinking more outer, non-big city, more
rural,
rurally towns. Yeah, surely.
Yeah, we don't even know if it's going to take place in the same time period.
Yeah.
My thoughts are, the Wolverine game going to heavily feature flashbacks or periods in the past and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They're leaving the options open for the future if they ever want to do a crossover of some sort, or or if they want to add more franchises to this universe, I guess. And also, I guess it kind of makes it cleaner for the Marvel multiverse as a whole, to have it all together in the same universe, I guess. And I mean, it's going to look the same. It's being built in the Insomniac engine, so it's going to look like the same universe. So why not?
The only thing, the more I'm thinking about Wolverine, the more I'm just I'm going to be disappointed that game's not more violent. So my thought process goes.
Haven't played it yet. I'm going to be disappointed that it isn't more violent.
Well, I'm just going to be disappointed if it's not more violent. I'm going to be disappointed if it's not violent. It's fine. I understand that not all the X-Men comics and the Wolverine comics are as violent as some others. Some are more kid-friendly or family-friendly, whatever you want to call it. But
a lot of cartoons killing.
Yeah. But I would want very violent Wolverine. I mean, that's just... I want, the dude's got claws.
Yeah. What you want is a blood splatter option.
Yeah, pretty much.
A gore visualizer.
Yep. Yep.
A little slider that you can decide how gory you want the game to be.
Up to 10, baby.
Up to 10. Just the screen's red all the time.
Yeah, why not? Just a filter. All right, final story of the week. Let's talk about the bad news as of this morning. So, press start right. Bungie has also suffered layoffs and reportedly delayed Destiny 2 the final shape. Kieran over here writes, Destiny developer Bungie is the latest in a string of studios were hit by significant layoffs in 2023. News of job cuts break today as Bungie employees started sharing their individual situations on social media. While the full-scale layoffs at Bungie is still yet to be confirmed, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier had reported that CEO Peter Parsons had called a meeting with staff to share the news internally. Parsons later took to Twitter, to social media even, to publicly address the loss of jobs at Bungie, saying, quote, "Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who have all made significant impact on our studio. What those exceptional individuals have contributed to our games and Bungie culture has been enormous and will continue to be part of Bungie long into the future," end quote. These cuts come as Bungie has also reportedly delayed of two of its upcoming projects, at least internally, both the Destiny 2, the Final Shape expansion, as well as the studio's PvP reimagining of its classic FPS Marathon, have apparently had their target release dates pushed back. Schreier writes that the Final Shape has been pushed back to June 2024 from its original February release date, while Marathon, which hadn't actually been given a public release date, has slipped into 2025. So there's lots of I don't know, there's lots of, this year continues to be like, I've seen a lot of tweets and zeets, whatever we call lots of posts and stuff, people talking about this stuff. You've got so much typical shit happening this morning as this stuff happens, because Bungie's not a small studio to have layoffs, right? So Bungie's like a big name to have a major layoff.
$3.6 billion company.
Yep, at least, as they were acquired by PlayStation.
Yep.
And then you've got that as well. You've got the fact that PlayStation did acquire them earlier this year. You've then got the...
Was it this year?
Or late last year? Oh, no, time's a blur. Within the last 12 months, right? I feel, at least.
Early last year.
There you go. So you got the fact PlayStation acquired them. You've then got, as press start right here at the end here, like the fact that Bungie basically... it's, as we sort of make fun of, but not super seriously, the fact that they caused Naughty Dog more work by talking shit on the Last of Us multiplayer game, apparently. And they've had like pretty much every PlayStation studio has had layoffs. I saw someone tweet, I can't remember the exact figure, something around 6,000 people in after these layoffs now, the figure will have passed. Over 6,000 developers have had layoffs this year for our games. And then I saw someone else tweet something that's very, very poignant. Bloody, what a word. That they're like, I keep hearing and seeing people talking about, as we approach the end of the year, that this is one of the best years in video games. Man, can you tell me a better year in video games than this? This is the best year in video games since like 2011. Meanwhile, 6,000 people have had their jobs laid off. And I was like, that is a very good point. Like, are we gonna now that I've had that pointed out, I can't help but just like, it's going to be really fucking almost cringy if we get to the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley's on stage like, man, this is like the best year in video games ever. How good is this year? We had all these great video games. It's the best fucking thing ever. It's also like the highest amount of layoffs in a year for developers. You know, like, it's like you can't really celebrate one without acknowledging the other. I don't like that's
can't we though?
I mean, you can, and
will we though?
Will probably will happen. You know,
but separate the art from the artist, Dylan. We're celebrating the art at the Game Awards. You know? It's yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on any of that? Oh, which part?
Oh no, anyway, whatever comes to you first.
Well, on the 6,000 jobs, I don't know. I felt like that was higher. That doesn't seem like it's an impressive number. I don't know how many people are actually working video games. Also, is it a fair criticism? I don't think any of the studios that have put out the biggest games and most impressive games of the year have had major layoffs. So really, is they to blame for the layoffs that are going off at other studios? I don't think so. But, that's kind of a moot point at this point. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, obviously, this is a continuation of like PlayStation kind of clearing house across a bunch of their studios, I guess, or like trimming down, I guess. Yeah, because they're obviously the Media Molecule had a bunch of layoffs last week, which we didn't cover because we recorded early. I think was it PlayStation VGC also had a bunch of kind of layoffs recently as well. And they've had a bunch of like restructuring in a bunch of their studios in the last 12 months, which is interesting because is it a sign of, oh, we're not making enough, are we slimming down, or is it a matter of, oh, we need to save money because we need to spend it in another way? Because obviously there's all this talk of, PlayStation needs to acquire another studio and that kind of stuff. Like, so they're like trying to cut costs so they can do that to be competitive in the market or something. I don't know, but yeah, obviously it's disappointing. Interesting that obviously with these cuts, a bunch of like their stuff is being pushed back, like so they're like actively doing stuff to move their work schedule backwards. I don't know. It just seems odd as a whole.
I mean, yeah, I can jump straight to the fact that like, and yeah, I understand. Oh, you keep fucking pointing. It's like all these companies have CEOs and stuff that are way too overpaid. Like just get that out there. That's if all these companies that keep laying people off had the
Fucking
CEOs.
Jim Ryan trying to make his numbers look as impressive as he can before he leaves.
Yeah, pretty much. If any of these people adjusted money, but that's not just a games industry thing. That's a every business thing. People at top get paid way too much money as people down the below lose jobs. That's how it works. Yeah, capitalism. Outside of that, though, I would say the connecting fabric between the majority of these is they're all AAA or nearly AAA workplaces with a lot of people, and I think the growing thing I've seen from devs tweeting, at least in the last 12 months, has been a common talk of like the instability of the industry at the moment with the the cost to make games like Spider-Man, and just it's not like a lot of the studios trying to make games like Spider-Man, if they don't reach the success of a game like Spider-Man, it just crashes and burns, and then the studio blows up and hundreds of people lose their jobs and stuff like that. So how you fix that, I don't know. Like I'm not out here trying to give answers, but at the same time, it does appear to be a concurrent thing there. Whereas you've got like if people can find more work-life success balance in indie games, like let's look at like Coles and Lamb, right? I don't know. There's like 6 people in that studio, 13. I don't know. You're like around that sort of number, right? So they worked on it for a couple of years, major success. Untitled Goose Games, like 4 people. I'm just thinking Australian ones, and there are other things. I feel like it's really weird, but also a proving point when you can look at over the last couple of years where all these indie studios find really good success, work-life balance and whatever with a small number of people, and they put out these games that people love and whatever else, and then all the ones that are crashing and burning are, and I don't really blame the studios because it's usually the publishers or whoever own them that pushing them down this road, but they're 100+ people teams who are being asked to make games that must score an 80+ Metacritic and make millions of dollars, and if they don't, we're going to fucking burn you down. You know, pretty much is the thing. So it's like it's the difference between games being made for art or games being made for profit. Really, when you look at it, a lot of the time.
Yeah, I guess. But then, how many indie studios make games that don't turn any profit, that shutter without any notice?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot, but how many? But
like, what percentage of the success stories is it of all indie games?
No,
probably
yeah,
a tiny fraction.
Yeah, it's a tiny fraction, but I definitely feel like there's just a thing of they need to meet somewhere in the middle. I often feel like that. I'm not saying anything new. People have been talking about this for years at this point, where as the growing cost and expectation of AAA games grows, that bubble's just gonna burst on certain studios, and that seems to be what is happening. You know, like as we expect more and more and more and more. So it's like, yes, you can't have like every 4-person team make a massive successful indie game and make more than enough money so they can spend 10 years making the next thing. But you also can't have every studio out here trying to make something that makes millions of dollars with 100+ people. And if they don't, it's like they sort of just need to somewhere in the middle. You know, if we make plus 2%, we're good to make it. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like it's just too. It's just yeah. I definitely feel like the AAA. I'm very much on the side of the AAA side of video game development. It's just not. It's not working. Something's not working. If this many people are losing jobs in a 12-month period, something's not working. I don't feel like that's a hot take. something's obviously not right there. Like the way that the business is structured is not right.
Well, yeah, I think it's quite difficult to like. It's currently the only art form, like a creative industry form, where you have the same a group of people working on multiple projects in a row. You know, they're employees of a company. You know, like movies. Everybody comes in, makes a movie, and then they go off all separate ways to move on to the next thing. TV, you work on the TV show for several years, and then you'll move on into different directions. I think the video games is still trying to figure out, like, especially at this scale, how to have its employees and that kind of stuff. For a long period of time, like a lot of employers would just be on contracts until the video game was completed. Now they're full-time employees of the company, so they get better benefits and that kind of stuff. But then that obviously costs more than, you know, contracted employees and stuff.
This is where like the unionization stuff comes in too, though, because like if you're hired for a TV show, you're given a contract that says, "Hey, you're signing on for 3 years. This position, you have a guaranteed sustainability there for 3 years, right? Even if the show shuts down, like because you've got a contract, you're paid out, right? You know, this is how it's supposed to work. Like a lot of you may only be paid 12 months
after what? Yeah, you still only get paid for the work that you did. You know,
no, but you would have a payout like clause or whatever the you know, like if
the show gets cancelled after 3 episodes.
No, if you sign a contract for 3 years, then if you've this is where the union stuff comes in and SAG-AFTRA and like, you know, all these sorts of this is what a lot of this stuff like comes in about it. Right. Why not? Because
if you do a shit job, you shouldn't be paid.
Well, no, not if you're fired. It's the same as like
stuff. No. Yeah, so if a show gets cancelled and they never make the next 3 seasons, you know.
Yeah, but there's clauses and stuff. It's no different than like if you work at fucking McDonald's and you're fired for fucking your coworker in the back room, then you're not paying anything. What? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're making McFlurries the wrong way.
Wow, those are the 2 examples. Okay.
Yeah. What?
I hope they weren't related.
I don't know. Yeah, because the problem, like, as like, there's another common thing where it's like these people will be like, okay, so I got hired to go to the studio. I moved to a completely different city. I pay out a 12-month mortgage on a house. 6 months later, they decide to let me go. I have no job, and I've moved to a place I can't get a job in. Like, you hear all these stories, and this is why they're supposed to be like, you know, this is where that's why they're trying to get unionization and stuff. It's like, okay, well, if is the cause and effect of the studio letting you go the cause of you, or is it the cause of bad management or the company? Like you should get some, because the main thing that people want is just some form of sustainability, you know, not to know that they can work at a job for 10 years, but that like if something goes wrong, their life isn't going to be like the most stressful fucking thing as they rush to find a job because they're like, I may be homeless in 2 weeks if I can't find a job. You know, that's what most people want. And, you know, I get it. You know, like.
No, but it's kind of a problem facing every single person. It's not, you know, completely unique to the video games industry.
It's not unique to the video games industry, but we're on a video game podcast, so we're talking.
That's true, but you know, I'm just saying.
I think he's talking about like fucking restaurant workers' rights in America who are trying to pay their stuff through tips because they're paid at such a shitty wage. Like, you can go down that road if you want, but that's a completely different podcast. I feel. Yeah, it continues to be a problem. I feel like. As you see more and more big studios like Bungie having to do job cuts, it's just a never-ending cycle. And I'm like people. I'm like unless someone like something changes within an industry about how they like go about like managing their businesses and stuff. That.
Well, what is the solution? Is it just?
I don't know. I'm not on a fucking business manager.
Just be so successful you never have to fire people.
No, but like have plans in place, have money in place, have things in place. Bungie, I was trying to find the story before because I know that it's there. There is a story from Bungie from like a year or two ago where they got asked. I think it was a Kotaku article. I was trying to find it, but I can't find it. I swear it was a Kotaku article where they got asked if there would be job cuts after they were acquired by fucking PlayStation, and someone from Bungie was like, "No, this won't happen. And even if it does, we've got like $1 million sitting in a side account to help keep afloat if we go through hard times. Well, we have the money to keep people employed," basically is what they were saying. So I'm like, have you burned through that money? Like, what the fuck? What happened to that? I'm not making up this story. Like, it was a real story. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe also it could just be like a consolidation. Like it seemed like there was a lot of like community support kind of members and that kind of stuff. Like maybe PlayStation kind of wants to take over.
But that's like, then you go down the road of this is the bad side of the purchasing studios and stuff and whatever. This is what's been happening at Xbox too, with Activision and whatever.
Yeah. So well, you just wait till, Activision's fully incorporated into
the amount of people they're gonna let go.
Yeah.
I mean, one of those we can't wait to see let go, but
certain CEO at the top. Finally somebody at the top of the food chain getting fired.
We can finally celebrate instead of being like, oh man, this sucks. We'll be like, thank God. Finally let him go. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Let us know your thoughts on Spider-Man, how you going so far, your thoughts on people losing their jobs. I mean, you shouldn't really have thoughts. It should be that sucks. If you're one of the fuckheads on Twitter saying, they deserved it because I didn't like the story that they did in the last Destiny 2 expansion, go fuck yourself and get hit by a car. You can find us on Twitter, explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. You can find our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And if you'd like the show and like to donate, $1 or more helps keep the lights, mics, and podcast shenanigans happening. explosionnetwork.com/support does that. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts.